So we are back with another Acceptable Casualties battle report today. Today we're doing a camera test, rule test, gameplay test, video test for Hail Caesar. All that fun stuff you guys are going to get to watch. We figure if we're going to play it, we might as well let you guys see it. So we're going to be doing 400 points, pitched battle between early Imperial Rome and Parthians. We'll be back in a second to go over the lists. Just go over what we're planning on doing for this game in general. Like I said, it's not going to be our normal routine, something a little bit different. So, just bear with us. We'll be back in a flash to go over the armies. So here we have our 400 points of early Imperial Romans. We'll just start going down the line over here. So for this division here, we have our general in the middle on the circle base. We have two small units of light infantry archers. And then we have 2 units of medium auxiliary infantry right there. Over to the middle, we have our main general there on the large base. He's going to be leadership 9. And then we have 5 units of regular legionnaires, heavy infantry, and then 1 unit of veteran heavy legionnaire infantry. Over here for the 3rd division, we have 3 units of medium auxiliary cavalry with the general, and then down there we have a light bolt thrower. So altogether, that's 400 points. Back in a second to go over the Parthian list. So here we have our 400 points of Parthians. As you can see, this is only a test game, so the models are not painted yet. We're going to be getting to that probably within like the next month or so. But still, doesn't matter. It's not going to stop us from playing the game. So down here, we have, for our 1st division, we have 4 units of horse archers with their general. Another division of 4 horse archers with their general. Over here, we have the main commander, a unit of horse archers, and then 3 units of cataphracts, and I believe one of them is general's household. We'll mark that when they get on the table so you guys will be able to keep track of that. Over here on this side is the 4th and final division. It's going to be 4 units of medium infantry with spears, 2 small units of skirmishers with javelins, and then in the back, we have that 1 silver horse, and he's there to represent kind of like a pack mule carrying extra arrows. He gives all the horse archers in the army an extra reroll for misses. Well, one die to reroll for misses. So that's 400 points. We'll be back in a second for deployment, and then we'll also go over kind of like the basics of the game. Like I said, we're still, I guess, learning the rules, Vin. I mean, yeah, we know them. We just haven't played in a really long time, and it's kind of almost like a refresher game as well as like a film test. So we'll be back in a second, go over deployment, and then some of the basic rules for the game. So we are back for our deployment. I'm going to go over the Parthians first, then we'll go over into the Romans. So down here, we have our battle line across the back of the table. Starting down here, we have our 1 division of horse archers, and probably work our way as a harassment force on this flank. We decided to line up our medium infantry and skirmishers to kind of face off against those legionnaires. Hopefully, get some skirmishing in before we have to get locked into close combat, because if that's the case, we get locked in early, it's going to be ugly. For us, not for Vin. Down here, we have our cataphracts with horse archers, kind of just holding the flank over here for the infantry and supporting them, as well as squaring off against Vin's medium cav on that side of the table. And then down here in the forests, we have our other unit of horse archers, probably going to bob and weave in through this side of the table, kind of harass those guys and just be annoying on this flank. So that's what we're looking at for the Parthian deployment over here. We swing on up over to here. Take a look at Vin's battle line. So over here, Vin has his auxiliary division with his 2 sets of medium auxiliary infantry supported by 2 units of archers. They're light archers as well. In the middle of the table, Vin has his legionnaires set up in their battle line, supported by, I think, was it the veterans in the back or are they in the front?
They're front middle.
Okay, front middle is the veterans with the commander right there with his leadership 9. And then over here on this flank, you have the 3 squads or 3 units of the medium cav supported by the scorpion bolt thrower, light bolt thrower, whatever you want to call it. So that's how the battle lines look over here. For those of you who haven't played before, just a quick idea what's going on. So for every time you want to move a division or a unit, you have to use that commander who's attached to it, his leadership. Everybody here on the table for both sides is leadership 8, except for the main commander there with the legionnaires. He's a 9. So what you would do is you would say, I want to move that division 3 moves up. you would need to roll on 2 dice, and it would have to be, for him, it would be a 6 or lower would get you the 3 moves. If you rolled a 7, 8, or a 9, you would only move 1 move for a 9 or a 8 and 2 moves for a 7. But you have to go in the direction that you declare. So if you declare 3 moves up to, let's say, this point right here, and you only got 2 successes, you still would have to move your division up to here. So you can leave you hanging yourself in the wind if you get too aggressive and aren't able to capitalize on your leadership rolls. And if you end up rolling terribly, say you roll a 10 or something like that that's higher than what your leadership is, your entire division will stay still if you're doing a division move. Or if you're doing units 1 by 1, the minute you fail with that particular unit in a division, the entire division isn't allowed to try to move anybody else inside their division. Then you have to move on to the next division. So that's kind of like a basic idea how movement and everything goes with it. I'll probably end up doing a video for the rules and how they play on the tabletop, because I can go into that for like a half hour. I don't want to bore you guys here. This is kind of just our setup for seeing how we're going to shoot it and try to make the game flow for videos. So we're just going to play. We'll see how it goes. How the finished product is here might end up how it's going to look for future battle reports. What were you going to say, Vin?
So when you roll double ones, you can actually say where you want. You can completely change.
Oh yeah. For our house rule. Yeah. For house rule, if we roll double ones for that, we call it like almost like a moment of clarity. So if you roll double ones for your leadership, you can readjust your moves that you want to do. If you roll double sixes, it's considered a blunder, and there's a table for that as well. So like I said, we'll do that for the turn recaps and go everything. I don't want to ramble too long here for the intro of the video. You guys are probably rolling your eyes right now. So we'll be back in a second for top of turn 1 for you, right, Vin? You're going to start for you?
For you starting.
Oh, I'm starting? Okay. So yeah, it'll be Parthians, top turn 1, be back in a flash. So we are back for the top turn 1 for the Parthians. I guess we'll just go down the line over here. So as you can see, the first roll of our game, I managed to roll an 11. So these guys did not move at all for their divisional move. They're just sitting there hanging out. Up over here, I ended up just trying to tell them to push up closer to the middle of the table and then start to get in a position to maybe send up some skirmishers and deal with some of those horses or the legionnaires the next turn or two. So they moved over to there. I was able to get my heavy cav over here with the commander and just stay supporting on that flank to protect those guys, maybe get some counter charges off against that medium cavalry if they end up trying to get a little aggressive. And then over here, I wanted to try to get these horse archers up around there and then work their way through the woods and maybe swing back for next turn. But I was only able to get 1 success on my leadership, so I got them over to here. Probably have to burn another turn or 2 to get them exactly where I want them. That's pretty much all that happened for me for the top of turn 1. We'll be back in a second to go over the Romans bottom of turn 1. So we are back for bottom of turn 1 for the Romans. As you can see, things did not go very well for Vin's dice. For both of the divisions over here, Vin failed his leadership. He had 1 success with the Legionnaires, but he wanted to get 2 to get them up to there. He decided to use the reroll for the commander, and he ended up rolling a 10 afterwards. Oh, they are drilled though, Vin, so you can't move them up 1 turn. So we'll do that after this. Yeah, so you are allowed to move them because they are drilled. Over here, Vin decided to move up with his medium cav 2 moves, got a little aggressive with them, as well as with the Scorpion Bolt Thrower. I don't know what he's planning on doing. I mean, probably get some charges off next turn. But that's what it looks like for the Romans here at the bottom of turn 1. We'll be back in a second to go over Parthians, top of turn 2. So this is how the battlefield looks after the end of Parthian turn 2. Down here, we were able to get 1 move off and get these guys into the open plains over here, but just out of range for their bows, 18 inches. With this division here, we decided to stay put with our battle line. I didn't want to get those guys locked in too early, and instead we moved up 2 units of skirmishers on separate rolls. We were able to get 1 here just out of jav range, and up here we were able to get the 2nd skirmisher unit within javelin range over there. I threw 2 dice at it. I got 1 hit, but Vin ended up making his save of a 5 up with the medium cav, so no damage done over there. Down here for this division, I rolled double 6s, so we blundered. And on the blunder table, it was move 1 full move forward. So this is kind of what it looks like for these guys right here. Didn't go too bad. I wanted to move them up 1 move, 2 moves actually. but we blundered and went this way. And this unit usually does have the reroll with the commander, but the way we house rule, and I think it is like that for the rules, if you roll a blunder, it just is what it is. You can't re-roll the blunder. That's kind of how we play it. So just kind of got stuck with that. Those poor horse archers had to run point blank up over there. We got one hit and Vin failed to save. And then over here with this division, we failed our leadership roll, but we did have one horse archer still in range. And the way the angle worked out, he was able to get the shot off. And he took another wound. So they have 2 hits against him. They have 6. You need to hit them. You need to wound them 6 times before they get shaken and have to worry about breaking off the table. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now for the top turn 2 for the Parthians. We'll be back in a second to do the Romans bottom 2. So we're back for bottom of turn 2 for the Romans. Let's just go over how things look on the battlefield right now. So this division over here is a little late to get into the fight. Vin wanted to wheel them in through the forest over there and form a battle line on this side. He's only able to get 1 move off. So that medium auxiliary infantry supported with the archers are kind of just sitting on the other side of the forest right now. Vin decided to put his legionnaires into a testudo formation to kind of weather the arrow storm that's most likely to be coming in from these horse archers and some of the other units on the table. So he moved them up. They're all in testudo right now, which makes them a lot harder to do any damage to as far as the ranged attacks go. Over here for this division, Vin used his initiative moves. So down here, you get a free move if you're within 12 inches. That free move ended up taking him into the horse archers. I failed my evade and Parthian shot test, so they ended up getting run down. So Vin ended up taking them off the table. Over here, Vin was able to get in the contact with both of the skirmisher units, but I was able to evade with them and pull them back off. So Vin just kind of used his leftover movement to straighten those guys out and get in a position to countercharge. I decided to charge in with this heavy cav over on this side. So that's what we look out here for the bottom of turn 2 for the Romans. We'll be back in a second for top turn 3 for the Parthians. So we are back for top of turn 3 for the Parthians. A really good turn for us. We'll start over on this side over here. So we were able to get 1 move off and move our horse archers up along over here and get into the flank of that cav unit right there. We were able to get 1 hit off on those guys, and we ended up getting a 6. So Vin had to take a break test, and they ended up falling back in good order. But they have 3 wounds on them. Down here, we decided to hold our ground with this cav, and then with these 2, we used our initiative step and got into a unit of medium cav that was standing over there, and we ended up not beating them bad. I think we did like 5 wounds in close combat.
Yeah.
So we beat them by 4. Vin ended up rolling really bad on the
On
the morale test. Yeah. So they ended up breaking off the table, and then Vin also threw his general into close combat, and he ended up getting killed. So when that new officer comes back in, he's only going to have leadership 7 for that cavalry division over there. Over here, these skirmishers down here threw a bunch of javies into that cav unit there. We did 1 wound on a 6. Vin had to retreat with them as well. He retreated. He ended up disordering that end of that flank on the legionnaires right there. So both of those guys are disordered. They're not going to be able to do anything until next turn for Vin. We ended up failing our leadership to move these guys up to get them in the javelin range as well, which means the rest of that division wasn't able to do anything. And then over here on this side, we were able to move our other unit of horse archers over here. We fired these 3 into the one guy in the flank right there. We were able to do 1 wound even through Testudo. We did get a 6, and Vin ended up rolling pretty well on the morale table, so they ended up staying. And then over here, we were able to get another 6 and another hit on that unit of archers that was exposed over here on this flank for that division. We did 2 wounds, like I said, and then we got a 6 as well, and Vin ended up having the retreat in good order. So overall, a really good turn for skirmishing for the Parthians. We did a lot of wounds, caused a lot of issues, and then our 1 close combat with our unit of cataphracts down here went especially well. So we'll be back in a second for the bottom of turn 3, and we'll see how the Romans are able to answer the call. So we are back for bottom of turn 3 for the Romans. we'll just start over here. So Vin's new commander came on the table, ended up going over there with his leadership 7. Vin was able to get one move off with this cav just out of charge range, but he did throw some short range attacks in over there. I know in the books they don't have listed as javelins, but they do have short range 3. We just play it as if you have a short range stat, you're able to throw short range attacks, whether it's like javelins or whatever else they have in there. So he ended up hitting on one of them and did a wound on one of the horse archer units. Over here, these 2 units stayed disordered. We'll just stay with the division. So that cav unit stayed disordered. He's going to lose that after we start my turn. The Scorpion Bolt Thrower ended up hitting my general's unit over here and did 1 wound on them. Over here, Vin decided to leave them behind with his drilled move with these guys. He came at it to Testudo. There was the skirmish unit was here. Vin's first roll, he hit 2 6s and a 5. So he did 3 wounds on those skirmishers. They had to fall back disordered. And luckily, I mean, it was right up to the lip as far as them running through my troops right there. But doing that, he ended up leaving the rest of those guys out of range to throw anything over here at the other Javi skirmisher unit. Over here with this division, Vin failed once again to get those guys lined up over here where he wanted them to go. So they had to stay still. His back archer unit over there that got beat back last term was still in range of this unit over here, but he missed both of his shots. So that's what we're looking at for the Romans here. Bottom turn 3. We'll be back in a second to go over Parthians top 4. We are back for top of turn 4 for the Parthians. We'll just take it starting over here. So I used my initiative move because I was within 12 inches of an enemy unit, and I just lined these guys up over here. We fired a ton of shots into those guys over there. I think was it 8 shots? You made 5 saves of a 5-up. And then I think we did 2 wounds that ended up going through. So yeah, then they just, like I said, they held their ground. And all this, the 6s that I hit on, Vin made a save for it. So those guys are still sitting there, unfortunately. Over here with the remainder of the heavy cav, I made a 2-move charge into the artillery and wiped those guys out in close combat. And then through consolidation, I kind of just positioned myself to watch the flank over here from that cavalry and that other infantry squad. These guys here, I was within 12 inches of the Roman battle line over there. I just ended up moving them up 1 space over here just to kind of threaten Vin and see if he's going to break that line and start moving into combats. I don't want to fight those guys when they're all locked up like that. On this side, I ended up moving up my 1 skirmisher unit that was over here. Threw a couple Javies in there, and I didn't hit on anything. This unit down here is still disordered. I got to pull that off at the end of my turn. And I decided to hold my battle line here for 1 more turn just to force Vin to make a long distance charge if he wants to get in there and rumble. On this flank, I also decided to just hold the line over here. All these guys were in range of Vin over there. 2 of them had what was considered side shots and 2 front. So I did the side shots first because they only needed 4s to hit because Vin didn't get the heavy infantry bonus, and I got 1 wound through on that. And then the 2 units that are shooting, these 2 units that were shooting at his front armor with the 5s to hit, Vin ended up making... No, I think I missed all my shots, didn't I?
You did.
Yeah, I missed all my shots. So nothing really went through and forced Vin to make a save on those. So they just have 2 wounds on them altogether. So overall, pretty good turn here for the Parthians. That flank over there is just starting to crumble. So I think once that happens, it's going to get really rough for these Romans. They're going to need to make a statement here this turn. So bottom turn 4, Romans, be back in a flash. So we are back for the bottom of turn 4 for the Romans. This is another rough turn for Vin. We'll just start down here. So these guys, once again, for the 3rd time in 4 turns, failed their orders. So they're just hanging out by the forest. They're peeking through the leaves right now, seeing how bad this battle's going, and I think they might just decide to walk back to Rome and say the hell with this.
Yeah, I'm by myself.
Over here with this division, Vin decided to form almost like a crescent over here because that other flank is starting to collapse. So Vin formed that crescent. He lined everybody up to throw a bunch of short-range attacks. So he ended up forcing my skirmishers to take a break test because he hit them with a couple 6s. I rolled like a 3 or a 4, so they ended up running off the table. Vin had 2 hits over here on these guys, but I made both the saves. And then down here with the General's Guard, Vin was able to hit with a 6. I failed the save, and then I rolled pretty crappy on the break table. So they fell back with a wound, and they're disordered. Up over here, Vin charged in with the 1 cavalry from the 3rd Division, and he ended up. He didn't get steamrolled, but you were shaken. I think you lost by like 2 or 3, right?
Yeah.
So based off that result, Vin didn't get a good turnout on the break table, and they ended up leaving. I ended up consolidating into combat with these guys on the flank, and we ended up tying with 2 wounds apiece. But since cavalry charged infantry, that unit's going to be disordered now. Back over here on this side, Vin ended up having that free 9-inch move because we were within a foot of each other. He got into base contact with those guys. I did my Parthian shot and ran off. Nothing went through. Vin ended up running into the second guy, and I failed my leadership, so I had to take him off. And then in the consolidation, he tried to get into another unit of horse archers, was ran down here, and I was able to shake them with my Parthian shot. So they're shaken. Their division's actually completely broken now. So those guys are going to have to start retreating their way off the table. They're useless for the rest of the game. But in his shooting phase, Vin was able to throw a javelin and get a hit over here on these horse archers. So as the way the table looks right now, this flank over here on the right hand side is pretty much crumbled. Like I said, those that cavalry's running off the table. That division is pretty much completely broken. The middle, you got the Legionnaires starting to form a crescent over here, just waiting to defend against the Cataphracts. And I still have a whole fresh division down here of this medium infantry. And then over there on that far flank, those guys are just picking dandelions over there in the outfield. So this is what it looks like right now, going in the top of turn 5. We'll see if the Parthians can capitalize and put these guys out of their misery. We are back for top of turn 5 for the Parthians, and yeah, this middle part of the table is turning into a pretty good bloodbath over here. But we're going to start down on this side. So over here, as you can see, the auxiliary cavalry is no longer there because this unit ended up shooting 2 shots into them and taking them off the table. Then 2 wounds went through, and then you just failed the break test. So yeah, so that division is the division is completely off the table. Vin doesn't have to worry about moving them now. And I did move this 1 horse archer unit up over here. For the remainder of that cataphract unit, we took these guys and we punched them into Vin's veteran unit, and they were being supported over here. Ended up losing that combat, but Vin's unit stayed disordered, so I had to fall back over here. I fell back disordered, but since at the end of my turn, I lost that. I lost the disorder thing, so I just pulled the beat off. Up over here, I ended up winning the combat against these guys. I pushed them back. They had almost disordered this unit, but Vin passed his roll. Instead of following up with them, I just kind of moved myself around to that flank over there. I was able to do that because these guys were locked in over here. So we're gonna wait to see what we can do with that cav for the next turn. With my infantry division, this thing's got pretty interesting over here. So I was able to move that whole infantry wall in, and I got the charge off. I was able to get 2 units locked in close combat here with supports on each flank. The one over here, I was able to break one of the Legionnaires off the table. And then we consolidated up into another combat after Vin won against my Cataphracts. He was available to fight again, so I rolled the 2 winning units into them as well. Vin ended up pretty much kicking the snot out of the one unit and broke them off the table. We used our generals in both of those combats. Both ended up surviving, so that was pretty good. Now they're just kind of facing off at each other right now. They're disordered as well, so hopefully Vin isn't able to shake that next turn. Down here, I lost my combat, so I had to fall back 6 inches. That unit shaken. Vin decided to follow up, and he kept 1 unit in support, 1 unit locked in close combat. So, they can continue to keep getting pushed back the line. My skirmishers ended up moving over here, didn't have anybody to shoot at. This unit over here, horse archers, I failed my leadership role. Everybody was locked in close combat because those moves prior to, so I wasn't able to shoot at anybody. So I was able to get 1 guy in range down here, was able to shoot at the archers back there. I missed both shots. Those units were kind of concealed by the forest, so I wasn't able to fire any of those other horse archers sitting there. So that's what happened for turn 5. Running out of breath. That's a lot of talking right there. So we'll be back in a second for a bottom of turn 5 for the Romans. This game's going to end at turn 7. So we're going to see how things clean up over here and how this battle unfolds. We are back for the bottom of turn 5 for the Romans. I will start over here. Vin went for a three-way move to get their battle line set up over here. I believe you have 2 successes though.
I had 1 success.
1 success. All right. So yeah, it was enough to kind of get them shimmied around, at least get in position to maybe make an assault next turn. Vin was able to fire 2 shots down. He did another wound on that horse archer on the flank. Over here, this unit here was locked in close combat with these guys down here, and Vin was able to win the combat, but I rolled pretty good on the break test, so I was able to just retreat in good order. So they're shaking right now, which is unfortunate, but I still have a fresh unit there that's able to move. Vin over here just positioned his guys to face the ensuing threat on that side. The combat that was going on up over here with the elite unit, Vin was able to make his dice roll and shake that disorder. He turned around and he ended up mopping the floor with that medium infantry unit that I had sitting right there. I don't even think he took a wound.
No.
Yeah, Vin was in pretty good shape. In the process, my general got wounded because the unit broke. I rolled, I think, like a 5 or a 6 or something like that on the injury chart. So he's not able to join combats anymore, but he's still able to go around with his leadership 8. Up here, they shook disordered at the end of the turn. They threw a couple short range attacks into the cataphracts. Vin ended up getting a 6. I ended up biffing on that, so that unit's now shaken. They're going to be out of the fight for probably another turn. Down here, Vin did the same thing. Threw a couple short range attacks into those guys, but I made my saves. So right now, it's looking pretty good, I guess, for the Romans as far as holding. But I don't know if this next turn, I think is going to tell the tale as far as how this battle is going to go. So we'll be back in a second for top of turn 6 for the Parthians. So we are back for top of turn 6 for the Parthians. We'll start over on this side of the table. So the way that these guys were set up, I had to roll each of them individually. I was able to get this guy up 1 move, that guy up 1 move, and then we all fired a bunch of range shots into this base right here. And I think we did 1 wound, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did 1 wound on that infantry base. Over here, we were able to, just with our initiative moves, we got locked into close combat with that legionnaire group right there. We ended up doing 6 wounds. They were fresh too, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we did 6 wounds, disordered them, pushed them back in combat. Consolidation, the support unit over here, I kind of just branched them off to protect the flank on this side and maybe get a charge off next turn and keep these guys honest over here. I also attached my general up to those guys over there, and I passed the leadership role, so I was able to unshake them and hopefully use them in an assault next turn. For these guys down here, with the 1 remaining unit that I have here, I tried to get 2 charges off. Two moves off and engage these guys in close combat, but I failed the leadership role in the shooting phase between the the lone horseback over here and these skirmishers. I wasn't able to do any wounds on any of these guys. Up over here with these 4 horse archers, I fired a bunch of shots into that medium infantry blob. I think Vin made 3 or 4 saves, 5 up saves. Yeah. So I was only able to punch 2 wounds through on those guys. So overall, didn't get a chance. I didn't do as much damage as I liked for the skirmishing phase, but in close combat over here, kind of starting to press in those legionnaires right there and just start retreating into each other. Maybe we'll get a couple of guys off the table a little bit faster than expected. So we'll be back for bottom of turn 6 for the Romans, starting to get encircled. We'll see if they can hold. So we're back for bottom of 6 for the Romans. Up over here, Vin was within 12, so instead of opting to charge, he ended up just moving up to do some short range attacks here. With his archers, he fired into there. He did 1 wound, I think, and then I passed my break test, so I didn't have to leave. Over here, he missed a bunch of shots. 1 ended up going through, and I ended up failing my save, but I was able to pass my break test pretty well, so they didn't move off the table. Down over here, Vin fired a couple of shots down into the skirmishers. He missed everything. Yeah, so I didn't have to worry about that at all. These guys here threw a couple of short range attacks into my horse there, so I don't get a save with them. And he had 2 hits, so that was enough to double me up because I only have a 1 morale. so they broke off the table. So I lose all my rerolls with my horse archers from here on out. Up over here, nothing happened. Vin missed his short range attacks on those guys. But over here in the close combat between them and the other infantry unit, I ended up losing by 1, and I ended up giving ground with good order. But since I moved through this unit here to fall back, I ended up failing both disordered rolls. So both of these guys are sitting here stumbling all over each other. So on my turn, they're not going to be able to move. Up over there, Vin also threw a couple of short range attacks into that unit that had 5 wounds on it, and he missed all of them. So we're going to be going into top of turn 7 right now. It's going to be mostly skirmishing for me because most of my cav is dinged up pretty bad right now. So we'll be back in a second for top of turn 7 for the Parthians. So we are back for top of turn 7 for the Parthians. I'll start over here. So with the horse archer division, I was able to move everybody up and get them in line and take a couple shots. We were able to get a shaken result on this. This is the veteran unit, right?
No, the veteran use.
Okay, all right. So we got a shaken result on these guys. Vin was able to keep them on the table, but they're not going to be able to really do anything this turn coming up. With the heavy cav unit, the main unit with the general's guard and the cataphracts. Like I said, those guys were disordered, couldn't really do anything. That unit that was shaken, I was able to attach the general to them and knock them down to just 5 wounds. So if Vin does decide to charge or do anything, I'll be able to at least move them. In the combat up here, I was able to win the combat by 2, but Vin rolled pretty good and was able to keep them in the fight. He did attach the general, so he was able to get a couple extra dice, which kind of helped out. Right now, they are shaken and disordered. That combat will continue, so hopefully I can maybe punch those guys off the table on Vin's turn and make this this battle lean a little bit more my way when we decide the results at the end of it. Down here for the infantry division, I was able to move him up. I tried to get 2 moves off to get him into attack range, but I was only able to get 1 to get them in the javies, and then I ended up, I think I missed everything. The skirmishers, I think Vin did make the 1 save I got a hit on over there. And then the general down here, I came down and I tried to pull one of the shaken dice off of him, and I passed my leadership. Since you can't attach him to combats, since he got wounded, I still think you can put him on there and pull the shaken results off. If you guys know, post it in the comments, but I'm pretty sure I played that right. I'm not 100% sure, though. Up over here, I used my initiative move with this whole division to take a step back and get him on the 12-inch range there. Fired a whole bunch of shots down here. I was able to shake one of the medium infantry units that were down here in that division. So this is kind of what we're looking at going into bottom of turn 7. The table is Vin's. What he decides here will probably decide the winner and loser of this game. So we'll be back in a second for bottom of turn 7 for the early Imperial Romans. So we are back for bottom of turn 7 for the Romans. We'll go over this as quick as possible. So we had a couple combats up here. This unit of cav that was sitting up there, he was locked in with Vin. He took out the 1 unit in close combat and then was able to consolidate into that shaken unit and attack him from behind. Since he was shaken, we played it that he wasn't able to. Well, I guess he wouldn't have been able to turn to face that anyway because he's infantry, not cavalry. So yeah, so he got flanked from that as well. So this unit was able to take out 2 units of infantry, which was pretty huge for them. Down here, Vin's veterans locked up against my general's guard. It was a pretty good combat. Both generals were engaged as well. Vin's got injured, didn't get killed, so he fell back there. I was able to take out the veteran unit. Then Vin rolled, I think, like a 4 or something like that on his shaken test, so they ended up breaking off the table. Down here, Vin was able to win his round of combat, get me back to shaken. He's shaken himself. I was able to give ground in good order, so that fight would end up continuing if the game ended up going on a little bit further. Up over here, Vin assaulted the skirmishers that were over there. I ended up trying to do the evade. I rolled double 6s. We talked about it. We thought it would be funny to just do it on the blunder table since it was a double 6. I ended up doing the advance. So I ran into the Legionnaires, and then Vin just curb stomped me. There wasn't even really. I think he did like 8 or 9 wounds that I couldn't save. So yeah, it was. It ended the way it should have ended. Like regardless of how we got there, the result was the same. Back up over here with some ranged attacks, Vin was able to get these guys to shaken over here, and I rolled on the table double sixes, so they were like, they just pretty much pulled the arrow out of his chest and stayed on his horse and said, "We're going to stay and fight a little bit longer." There was a couple more range attacks that went into the line over here, but no damage was really done. So this is what the battlefield looks like at the end of turn 7. Vin and I are going to talk about the way the battle looks right now, and then we're just going to kind of decide a winner. So we'll be back in a second to go over the end of game recap. We're back for the end of game recap over here. Vin and I were just talking a little bit about how the game went. And, at the end of Hail Caesar, since it's not really like we didn't do an objective based thing, it was more just like a thematic pitched battle, in the middle of the field right here. So it's I guess the victory is more discussed and decided than it is just somebody winning an objective. So after we talked about it, we decided it was a Parthian victory. It really wasn't in the books until that last turn. We wouldn't call it a decisive victory, but I would definitely call it a victory for the Parthians just based on what we have left over here, because I would have been able to jump around that commander and pull some of these shaken units back together and form up that heavy cav again. I still have enough horse archers on the table as well to harass the last of the legionnaires down here and work on that medium and light 3rd division that was sitting over there as well. As far as the battle plans went, things went pretty good, I think, for me, how I got a chance to play it out. This is what's left of that medium infantry blob right there, but just kind of delaying them and waiting to use those guys as a counter charge when Vin got to the middle of the table. That worked out pretty good, being patient with them. They didn't do a ton of damage, but they definitely put enough of wounds on some of the units to ding them up for later in the game. For the heavy cav, the cataphracts, they played really well. They were able to kind of keep Vin honest in that flank, take out the artillery, punch out a couple of those cav units, and then do some damage late game once that legionnaire line started to fold and bend back. They really held their own. I think they're probably the MVP of the army for me today. Yeah, that's the amount of damage that they were able to do and stay on the table even after taking some shaken results and some losses in combat. The horse archers on this flank took a little while to get them going, but I think once I got them into the side over there, they were able to support pretty good with some of that long distance fire, do a couple wounds on some of those cav units, lighten them up a little bit, and then they were pretty much just mop up duty for the rest of the game. Like I said, they did pretty good on this flank. Over here, for this division, I mean, they did good, didn't take any losses. They really didn't dish out that much damage either, but their job was pretty much just to sit on this flank and then kind of deal with these guys, so they weren't able to roll up and make a push along my side flank and roll up that infantry. So they did pretty good, kept Vin honest on this flank, dealt out a couple wounds, but nothing spectacular. But that's what horse archers do for the most part. You're just using them for their speed, getting around the table and just harassing units all over the place, not trying to really to take anybody off the table, but just to kind of make things annoying and hope somebody breaks their lines or ends up messing with their battle plans a little bit. So I think overall, things worked out pretty well as far as how my battle plan worked out for myself. I don't know, Vin, what do you think how things went for you? I mean, obviously, that division sitting up in that corner for however many turns kind of hamstrung you.
4 or 5.
Yeah, they were back there for a while. Yeah, that was rough. But I don't know. What do you think? What were you thinking as far as your battle plan and how things played out for you?
Well, first off, I think I wish I'd roll like that more often in Flames of War. Like the
Oh yeah, your high rolls. Yeah, you got your games backwards, man. Because your high rolls, yeah, they really didn't help you too much here.
Well, yeah, the idea was to pretty much kind of bring them around the corner, and I really just wanted to push everything to the middle and like kind of have them just like 2 long battle lines.
Yeah, like wheel them in.
Yeah. That was the idea. Obviously, that failed miserably because once I got my cavalry up on this side and you already got that flank, at that point it just became improvising.
Yeah, like reacting to what was happening. Yeah, like I said, not having the that other infantry division make their push up on that flank, I think it put a ton of pressure over there on that cav side, because I didn't have to really commit anything to swing back over here to deal with the infantry because they were so far out of the fight. I was able to really focus on smashing that cavalry and then working into the legionnaires in the middle of the table.
You ended up doing exactly what I was planning on doing. in the end, like how you just pretty
Just
much.
mirrored it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
mirrored what you were thinking.
And I was just like, well, like this is falling apart quick. The cool thing was definitely the Legionnaires. I think
They're awesome. I mean,
that was
hands
they're just fun to
down,
play.
the best unit in Hail Caesar for the ancients time frame.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're just they're great against everything, against cav, infantry. Like they're just phenomenal against range attacks. They can take a beating. They're really good.
And if people were thinking about picking up Hail Caesar, I would say pick up the Romans, just because even if like you're losing, like
You're always in the fight.
yeah, exactly.
As long as that division's in there, yeah, you're always in the fight.
Yeah, like for a minute there, I thought there was a very like, you know, Donald Trump slim chance that that I was gonna turn it back around, which it kind of came close. Obviously, you could help the wounds,
Yeah. But yeah, they just didn't have any support.
Yeah,
That's what. Yeah, I mean, with that many divisions, the Parthians running around in between horse archers and cataphracts and everything else. Even the infantry line, like there was just too much there for just those 6 legionary units to deal with. But overall, it was a fun game. I had fun playing it. I'm thinking we're probably going to put maybe one of these up, maybe a month, trying to get the Parthians painted up. I don't know. Give me some comments and stuff down in the comments section about as far as how you guys like the game. As far as the pacing and how the turns went and everything, we kind of tried to keep it along the lines of how we shoot our Flames of War stuff, so it's pretty consistent no matter what you watch. But I realized that there's a lot more to talk about for the turns in here, so the videos might get a little bit longer. So if you guys have any ideas as far as maybe making it shorter, so it's under that 30-minute time frame, like that would be awesome. But just let me know what you guys thought, good, bad, any ideas you guys have, and then I'll try to get back to you guys as quick as I can. But thanks for watching. Try to get these Parthians painted up. We'll do a little more Hail Caesar maybe in the next month or two. So catch you guys later. Like or subscribe, all that jazz that goes with it. See you guys later.